Hey guys, welcome to Grand Junction, Colorado, and a very special episode of TFL Today because I'm here for the press drive of the 2017 Chevy Colorado ZR2. And Tim, come on over, introduce yourself. Tim, what's your last name?
Hi, I'm Tim Dimitri. I'm a chassis controls engineer for ZR2.
So Tim is one of the guys who's been involved with this project from the very start. So you know, well, about as much as anybody about this truck, right?
I would say that's an accurate statement.
All right, Tim. So let's start with the front of the truck. Obviously, it's a much different front to a standard Colorado. And what jumps at me right away is that you can actually see the front tires. You've done away with that damn air dam. Tell me about that. Tell me about the front, the approach angle. What's the point of having this kind of front where you can actually see the front tires?
So the key to any off-road vehicle is you can't climb an obstacle if you can't get up on it. So the big thing we wanted to do was make these nice cutouts so that you could get up and on an obstacle and get a chance to climb up over it. So we've changed the front corners of the fascia as well as integrated the front skid plate under there to help with obstacles off-road.
Now if you look under there, you'll notice that the truck is fully protected, right? So you've got a front skid plate which then transforms or hits a secondary skid plate, right?
Yep. So we have a front skid that's integrated into the engine skid.
Yeah.
And then behind that we have a transfer case skid midway back.
All right, so let's show them what's under the hood. Let me go, I'll pop it open and you tell them what's under the hood.
Okay.
Because you know what's under the hood of this guy.
So this one here is our 3.6 liter V6 engine. Same engine you can find in any of the other Colorados. Our powertrains are the same, ZR2 between ZR2 as well as the Z71 and all Colorados. So you have the option of the V6 or the 2.8 liter Duramax diesel.
And I've got the fact sheet right here for you guys, for both of them actually. So the V6 starts at about $41,000, right?
Yep.
And goes all the way up to, what, 46,000?
40s.
Yeah, so if you get the Duramax, you're looking at about a $3,500 addition. And there's really only like 3 options you can get, right?
You get to pick your engine, your cab.
And whether you want floor or carpet.
Do you want carpeted floor or if you want a vinyl floor? So.
And the difference obviously is in fuel economy. So you get much higher fuel economy. I've got the numbers right here, so let me show you guys. So highway on the Duramax, you're at 22. On the 3.6, you're at 18. 19 on the city on the Duramax, 16 on the 3.6. So for about $3,000, you're going to get a lot better fuel economy. You're also going to get a boatload more torque.
Yes.
So 369 pound-foot of torque, 186 horsepower on the Duramax, and of course over here you're at 275 for the 3.6 and 308. So less horsepower, more torque, but more torque and less horsepower in the Duramax.
Correct.
And better fuel economy. And they both tow 5,000. Why is that? Because the regular ones tow more. It's like 6 and 6.5, right?
Yeah. So the biggest change with the front fascia, the damn air dam that you said before, that actually helps with airflow through the radiators. So when we remove all that, you kind of lose a little bit of airflow through the radiators. So that's the reason we knocked down
Here's one driving by. Let's show them.
That's the reason we knocked down the tow rate.
So because you're losing cooling, right?
Losing cooling efficiency.
All right. And in terms of availability, if you guys want to know, when are these available?
They are on sale now.
Really?
Head on down to your dealership. Yep,
Yeah.
First deliveries occurred last week. So
okay, all right.
Head on down.
All right, let's go around. Let's talk about, tell us about the tires and wheel combinations. This is a special wheel.
Special wheel,
Yep.
Unique only to ZR2. Again, we wanted to stay with a 17-inch. That's about as large as you can say is an off-road capable wheel. Any bigger than that, you start getting into poser wheels.
Yeah. If people want to lift this and if they want to put, let's say, a 33 or a 35, I can see problems right here.
It gets tight back there.
Yeah.
You can fit a 33 with a little massaging, but anything bigger than that, and it's going to be some work. So.
Yeah. So Sawzall.
Sawzall. Sawzalls are your friends.
So if you want to lift it, obviously you've got independent front suspension. It's a little trickier than a Wrangler, but it can be lifted. Now the other cool thing about this is it actually has a lockable front differential. Why'd you do that? That's the only mid-size truck that has
Only mid-size truck with front and rear locking differentials, both.
Yeah.
Capability. Again, we wanted this truck to shine off-road, and whether it be desert running or rock crawling, we wanted you to have all the tools available. That's something that's, that's not an easy to do aftermarket thing. You gotta tear in. If you want to put lockers in trucks, it's a lot of work. So we wanted to offer that to our customers and make sure that the big hard tools that you need to kind of you want in your toolbox for off-road, and they were all there.
So you guys probably know this, but there are only 3 vehicles you can buy that actually have a locking front diff, and that's this vehicle now, the Wrangler, of course, the Rubicon, and the Power Wagon, and this is the only mid-size truck that has it, so it's very unique. The other thing that's unique about it, let's go show them those shocks that you've got. It's full valve technology, and that's something that is unique to only this vehicle. It's a Formula One technology. Ian, if you go under there, why don't you show them the DSSV shock?
Yep. So this Formula One technology, racing technology, Chevrolet was the first to pioneer on a high volume production vehicle with the Z28 Camaro. We took a lot of learnings from that and the tuning capabilities that you have with these dampers, applied it to these, and said, look, we can do way cool things with these off-road. We can have great on-road performance with these dampers, great body control, what you expect out of a normal vehicle, not so much an off-road truck. And then when you get into extreme travel positions, you can tune them to soak up bumps like you expect out of a long travel bypass shock. So best of both worlds.
Yeah, so basically there's 2 ends of the same spectrum, right? You've got the desert running, which is a reservoir shock that gives you lots of travel, and then you've got rock crawling, which is more control. And those 2 live on different sides of that spectrum. And what you're saying are these magic spool valve shocks give you both. You can go and run in the desert, and then you've got the kind of the control you need when you're rock crawling.
Correct.
All right, let's show them the rest of it. You've got rock rails. Show them the rock rails, Ian.
Standard, all ZR2s. Factory option come standard with the rock sliders. They can't hold the entire weight of the truck. We've tried them.
So have you actually, because they're not attached to the frame, right? They're attached to the body.
They're body mounted.
Yeah.
Body mounted rock slider. I was the first, I will say, engineer to say that's stupid. There's no way they're going to work.
Yeah.
I had to prove to them that it wasn't going to work, so I took a truck out, bashed it off rocks for a whole day, and said, okay, I guess they work. I guess we'll have to roll with these. So
you were able to open the door, you weren't able to?
Oh yeah. No deformation of the rocker at all. We were actually able to bend the tube of the slider before we couldn't even deform the rocker at all. So.
All right, let's show them something else. Let's have a seat on the whoa, a little muddy here, watch out. Come on, sit down with me.
All right.
One of the things you guys will notice is that there's a spare tire that is mounted in the back. That is a dealer installed option. Tell me about the dealer installed options you can get.
So dealer installed options we have any dealer installed option you can typically get for the base Colorado, the Z71. We have the in-bed mounted spare tire we're introducing with the ZR2. We have the sport bar that you've seen previously on the Trail Boss as an option. Lots of cool things you can do. We have bed tonneau covers. Floor liners are a really cool thing that Chevrolet is getting into as an accessory. They're complete coverage up the sides, everything you expect out of a floor liner.
A light rack, right, that you can stick in the back.
So the light rack is on the sport bar.
Yeah. Now, you guys might be wondering, how does this truck drive? How does it do off-road? Well, I would love to tell you that because obviously it's a little muddy and we just got done off-roading. Unfortunately, we play by GM's rules when we're here, and those rules include an embargo to give all the journalists. There are 4 waves of journalists that are going to drive these, and so that driving review will be up on TFL Truck on Monday. I think it's 8 a.m. Eastern time is when the actual embargo ends. So look for it Monday morning. But I did do a video, top 5 surprising facts about this truck, and that video is going to be hopefully up on Truck any moment now. We're at a very interesting place here in Gateway, Colorado, and the internet is so slow that I've been uploading a video now for 12 hours and it still hasn't gone live. And there is a mistake in there. I said that the Duramax is about 5,000 more. It's not. It's between 3 and 3.5. We're not sure, but it's basically 3.5. This starts at about 41. Destination 42 if you get the Duramax.
Destination is 41.
Oh, is it 41?
Yep,
okay.
It's 40, $995 with destination included.
So then add another 3.5 to it, and you're at like 45 for the Duramax. Let's show them the inside of the truck. What do you say? So you guys can see what the inside looks like. Ian, I'll have you walk them through the inside.
So big difference you'll see the ZR2 on the sill plate down there. Nice brushed aluminum insert, and then up on the headrest we have embossed ZR2. And down in the switch bank you'll notice the front and rear lockers in the center stack there.
And Tim, if we had the baby Duramax, there's also another cool button that I've never seen before on a mid-sized truck in conjunction with a rear lock and a front lock diff, right? And that is what? You know what it is.
Exhaust brake?
Exhaust brake, yeah. So you got front, rear, and then right next to it is an exhaust brake, which is pretty darn cool. And it's the only time I've ever actually seen it on a truck. You know, are there any comments or questions people have that we can answer for you guys? I'm sure there's a boatload of them.
Tacoma crawl control versus locking diffs. I'd like to see that comparison.
You've got crawl control, actually. You've got hill descent control.
We have hill descent control, and we have a great traction control system that lets the driver drive.
Yeah, let's go back here so we can see the truck, and we'll talk about that, actually. So you, Tim, you helped actually do the tuning for the... Why don't you come over here? You helped do the, you helped do the tuning for the traction control system. So obviously there's two-wheel drive, there's 4 auto, and there's locking rear, which has to be locked in case you want to lock the front, locking front. But let's say you want to go desert run and you want to have a little fun. How does the traction control system work in those kind of 3 different phases?
So the traction control is optimized for each drivetrain configuration you're in, whether you're in 4-wheel drive, whether you're in 4-high, whether you're in 2-wheel drive. All the calibrations are adjusted accordingly depending on what wheels are driven. On top of that, we have an off-road mode that allows the vehicle to be a little more in tune with the off-road environment. You know you're on a deformable surface when you go into off-road mode, therefore we allow a little more slip from the truck, knowing that, hey, you're not on pavement, expect some of that. On top of that, we also allow, with our traction control button, the driver more control over what kind of nannies he wants over his head.
Yeah. So I would tell you how that works, but I can't. But if you come back Monday, I know it's disappointing. I will tell you how it works. I can tell you, though, that in the video that hopefully will be published any second up on TFL Truck, we did manage to get all 4 wheels off the road because these guys set up a desert running course that allowed us to actually jump the truck. And you'll have to look for that because it's pretty darn cool. So I got to ask you my softball question. What's your favorite feature on this truck?
So this is a tough one for me. I like a lot of aspects of the truck. The fact that you have all of this technology in a mid-size package, it's great that you can go rock crawling, run across the desert, and drive to work, and it does all of them competently and excels at all of them. And I really think it's something that has not been out there yet. You can't get everything in one package like this. So,
Ian, any questions out there that people are asking?
Yeah, what's the ratios?
What's the rear axle ratio?
373.
373, which is pretty standard. Pretty standard, yeah. That's kind of the common ratio. One of the things I noticed that you don't have is any space actually to mount a winch. It looks cool, but there's no place here to mount a winch. I think I was talking to one of the other engineers, and they said a factory-mounted winch would cause all kinds of havoc with like safety and crash testing.
There's a lot of regulations and crash testing you have to go through when you mount a winch to the front there.
So I'm thinking, I'm sure in the aftermarket somebody will come up with a bumper that has a winch mount to it, but there's really no space here for a winch.
Ground clearance?
Ground clearance, 8.9 inches, right?
The lowest point, which is the rear shock. So it's a little bit higher in your normal spots, but we at GM measure to the lowest hanging part of the vehicle. So.
And we know that the approach angle is 30 degrees, and we think that the departure angle...
around 23 degrees in the back.
Is around 23 degrees in the back, in case you're curious about that number. Obviously, these tires are very, well, you can see they're very muddy, and they're relatively good at self-cleaning. They're also Goodyears. Why didn't you go with the KO2s?
So we chose the Goodyear Wrangler Duratrax. We tested the BFG all-terrains back to back. Everything we compared, all of our metrics, the Goodyear Duratrax really stands out. On-road traction, off-road traction, snow performance, ice performance. We were really happy with how the Duratrax performed.
Yeah, come on over here. Let's finish this up by talking about snow.
8-speed on diesel?
6-speed on the diesel.
6-speed on both of them, right?
8-speed on the
8-speed
gas.
on the gas, 6-speed on the diesel, but
Correct.
Still better fuel economy than the diesel.
Correct.
Yeah, and yes, can you stuff an LS in here? I'm sure somebody will. It would sound awesome.
It won't be us.
but it won't be GM, in case you're wondering. But you did all the snow testing. How come these tires are better? Did you just stop faster, a better lateral grip?
All of the above.
Okay.
So the siping and the tread compound of these tires really excel in snow and ice. We were really surprised with how much of a difference there was between these and the BFGs.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Any other questions, Ian, before we wrap
Sunroof?
No sunroofs.
Anything else? Any panoramic cameras that we should discuss? I know you've got
Only automatic?
Only automatic.
Yes.
Sorry, guys.
and no paddle shifters.
No paddle shift.
Shifters. So if you're wanting that, you're probably going to have to actually get for Raptor. But that's actually a good point. You guys did benchmark both the Raptor and the Tacoma TRD Pro.
Correct.
How is this better?
So from the Raptor standpoint, this can get places Raptors just can't.
Because it's
just because of the size. There's things you can't do with a full-size truck.
Tim, are you saying smaller is better?
I am saying bigger is not always better.
Okay. And how about the Taco?
So the Taco, just refinement and Multimatic DSSV dampers let us do things that nothing else out there can right now.
And they're gold. So guys, let's just try to get into this very quickly because it's very complicated. So a regular shock, of course, has a reservoir, right? And it's got fluid in it, and that fluid gets hot and it gets turbulent. Correct. Because there are
your deflecting washers, basically.
Yeah, your deflecting washers, and the way you set up the washers is how you set up the rebound and how you set up the shock.
Yep.
Now, a spool valve, for a very layman's approach, has a custom hole that allows the fluid to go through it.
Yeah, envision a piston in a cylinder.
Yeah, like a beer can,
with
a beer
spring.
can.
Yep,
Yeah.
beer can with holes, and as you compress it, the holes open up and allow fluid flow. And we can optimize the stiffness of the spring in the spool valve as well as the porting in the holes that allow a wide range of tuning. And you're not forcing the fluid to bend metal, so you're not inducing extra heat in the system. So it's really optimal for the off-road environment.
Yeah, it came from the Camaro, and before then, Formula One, actually.
Formula One.
Yeah, yeah. All right, I think we've got a good taste of the new ZR2. It is available at your dealership. Hopefully, any second now, we'll have a video up on TFL Truck, give you the top 5 surprises. Ian, any last questions before we sign off that we should answer?
Will there be a ZR2 Silverado?
Always leave the door open for more.
There you have it. Thanks for watching, guys. This is Roman reporting for the Fast Lane Truck. Thank you, Tim, for taking the time to chat with us.
Thanks for coming out.
And guys, once again, we really appreciate you watching this. And hopefully, at TFL Truck, we'll have my first review of the truck that doesn't include driving impressions, but nevertheless, it shows you the truck jumping. It shows you the truck on a high-speed course, and it's a lot of fun. See you guys next time. Ciao.
See ya.